I have a question.
Cool.
I have a question actually not for you, but for the audience. So is there anything like this in India at the moment, is my question. Because I think the virtual jukebox, I can see quite a lot of small venues and bars and other people see this as a great opportunity to do something.
What's the business model for the virtual jukebox?
It can be various ways. What we typically do in the UK is we go, can everyone hear all right? Is we go to a bar. They typically buy the box, which is fine. There's a margin on the hardware. They pay a monthly fee for the music service, and the bar can make money in whatever way that they want. Typically in the UK, you will have an operator, and the operator will go into the bar and give it away for free. But then the revenue that you get from a pay-per-play, that they normally share 50-50. So there's about 3 different business models which we operate in the UK. We also have a feature where, if there's a big queue of tracks, you can skip the track for an extra payment, so to go to the top of the queue, which is ironic for the Brits who love queuing, and therefore we're finding a way of jumping the queues. So there's 3 or 4 different business models. Selling the hardware, selling a music service as a monthly subscription to the venue, and then they can make whatever money that they want out of it. What's really interesting that we've discovered in the UK is because they go to a web page, you can get absolutely huge amounts of revenue out of the web traffic. So, for example, with the festival, when we did the T-shirts, people said to me, well, what happens if 1,000 people go and click on the QR code? And we said, I can't wait. And so, in fact, if 1 million people clicked on the QR code, I'd be delighted, because every single one of those 1 million people go to a web page which you can then sponsor, you can advertise, or you can do whatever you need to do. So whilst the music is the catch, it's what you're trying to do is to get advertising, sponsorship, and various different business models. Interestingly enough, on the virtual jukebox, I was very interested to know that the mobile phones, there's a lot of old type phones and there's the more modern smartphones, is that our predecessor of this product allowed you in a bar to send an SMS message, and then that would play the track in the bar. But we ditched that. We haven't ditched it, it still works, but we've put that to one side in favour of a smartphone execution because it's got better revenue opportunities.
Okay. So I have some thoughts for you as well, but I'm sure... Yeah.
Yeah, even I do have. I actually heard yesterday, I was talking to one of my friends here, and he was talking about the Coke Studio. I think everybody heard of. I mean, what's really the business model of Coke Studio here, and what kind of success rate? Because there's a lot of bands that are operating in UK, particularly local bands who have been partnered with big companies, and they're going out, they're performing, and they also have the revenue model like pubs and bars we are talking about there. But is there something already developed in India? Because I have already spoken to some of the creative people here who are into music, who are into theatrical plays and those kind of stuff. And I think they, maybe because of the starters, because of that kind of a psychological mindset, they don't want to connect to the bars and pubs, but that could be a revenue model for them. How do you find that, like creating new content in that? I just came across about Coke Studio just from a referral from a friend. But is there any sort of innovation happening in the music industry?
Yeah.
And there are probably about 20 bars over there, 20 pubs, bars, that kind of thing. And I think every Friday or Saturday there are at least 4 gigs happening in a place like Gurgaon, where 5 years back there was nothing. So there's a big change that is happening.
It's the same in the UK. Live music is great. It's great for bars. It's great for acts. But they typically play for an hour, and the bar's open for a lot longer. So what people tend to use the virtual jukebox for in the UK is that the bar goes on, or the football match goes on, or the cricket match goes on, or whatever it is, and it's in between hand that they then just turn the jukebox off for people to select and enjoy music. And you'll be surprised how much money you earn when people have had a few drinks and they're using a jukebox. I mean, it just goes completely out the wall whether they're paying 10p, 20p for a track. So you make a lot of money out of these executions. But what's great about it, it's not just like an old jukebox where you get the money per play, because you're also getting the internet visibility as well. So you're getting the advertising and sponsorship.
Can a club white label this?
For sure, yeah. For sure.
Okay, I can introduce you to a couple of clubs in India.
I thought that would happen. Yeah.
There's a service called Music Allowed, just started by Hangama. So they have tied up, I think, with close to 200 performers and bands, and they're trying to give a platform to independent bands and singers and all to really get there to reach out to the audience. But I don't know.
Just on that, the point that was made earlier is there's no such thing as a long tail in music. Regrettably, it's right. It's if you look at all of the statistics, if you take Spotify, they've got 11 million tracks. 4.5 million have never ever been listened to once. There's another 5.5 million tracks that have been listened to less than 5 times. And the reason for that is that if there's 5 people in a band, you'd expect them at least to check out whether the track was there. So even the band didn't even bother looking at it. And you'll find that 95% of the traffic from Spotify comes from 100,000 tracks. That's the reality. And it's about the marketing of it, it's about the promotion of it. And, the record companies have made a lot of mistakes, and I'm certainly not defending the record companies. But what they do is they sift good into not very good, into excellent, and they promote it really, really well. And the thing about music is that it is one of the most global products that you will find, obviously with its local content for the local place. But it's a brilliantly global product because that marketing goes behind it. But the reality is that there's great opportunities for young bands. So there's lots of websites we know that do, new bands that they can upload stuff. But the reality is to monetize that is really difficult unless they get some deal with a record label. And is it right, is it wrong? It's reality.
Okay, thanks. If people are okay with one more pitch before lunch, can you survive that long before you eat? So, yeah.
Today, if you go to see in a country like India, Airtel is being one of the largest operators, is also one of the largest music companies.
Yeah.
So Airtel, beside being one of the largest operators in the country today, is also one of the largest music companies in the country. So what's your take on that? I mean, so an operator being one of the largest music companies in the country?
Yeah, the reality with music is it is very different. It's very the same thing happens in the Middle East, where you've got Ratana looking after a lot of Arabic music in the Middle East, and they've got various television and radio interests. The reality is that no one person who's a content owner can dictate to either the mobile operators or anybody else, because consumers require choice. And you can't turn around and say, I've got that fantastic Bollywood track, but I haven't got Madonna, or I haven't got the Beatles, or whatever. So aggregation is actually what it's all about. So you need to have aggregation of choice to give the consumer the choice that they expect in the digital world. So whilst I'm sure, they will help their negotiations because they're both a content owner and an operator, the reality is you need a properly aggregated service to provide a proper consumer service. Aggregation, people get worried about it sometimes, but aggregations happen for years. It's called a supermarket. They put a load of products in one place that people go to get. It's very difficult to get one person's content available on one network. It's just not a good consumer experience. So I can see the question. I personally wouldn't worry about it at all. And what you need to do is to get that content provider integrated into an aggregator, and then you provide a proper service to the network.
Okay, thanks.